Welcome to today's Explainer. We are unpacking a truly eye-opening piece from the Globe and Mail right now, titled Black on Bay Street. You know, if you've spent literally any time in the corporate world, you're probably already in on the secret, right? Advancement isn't always about what's printed in black and white on your resume. Today, we're going to dissect this massive tension between being flawlessly qualified and that unspoken systemic demand of just fitting in.
Okay, let's dive into this. From our earliest days in school, we're fed this really specific, comforting narrative. The formula seems totally foolproof, doesn't it? You work hard, you get the elite degrees, you rack up the qualifications, and boom, the doors of opportunity just swing wide open. But we've got to stop and ask a pretty uncomfortable question. Is success really just about merit? I mean, especially in these hyper-competitive, deeply traditional environments like corporate law?
So, let's start with Section 1, the myth of merit. And this brilliantly illustrates the core issue. Look, a pure meritocracy is a beautiful concept, right? It's the idea that advancement is based entirely on your intellect and your output. But the reality? It's a stark contrast. It represents this profound shift from an objective metric to a highly subjective one. On one side of the scale, you've got merit, your undeniable hard work. But on the exact opposite side, you have fitting in. In the corporate world, this often looks like the classic airport test. Interviewers basically asking themselves, would I actually want to be stuck at an airport bar with this person? And just like that, a pre-existing mold and these unspoken cultural norms suddenly matter way more than your actual on-paper capabilities.
Moving right along to Section 2, Black on Bay Street.
Let's actually apply this to the ultimate testing ground, Bay Street, which is Canada's premier financial and legal hub. The article documents the journey of a woman named Hadia Roderique. Now, what's really interesting about this is how these two sentences sum up a pretty devastating reality. Hadia Roderique had it all, but still could not fit in. I mean, she did everything right. She had the elite credentials, she had the top-tier grades. But to even get a foot in the door, she literally found herself having to strip her resume of anything that sounded, quote-unquote, too black. She was effectively whitewashing her identity just to appease the system. She checked every single objective box, yet she still hit a massive systemic wall. Which brings us to Section 3, the fitting in roadblock.
So the crucial point is this. When fitting in is quietly elevated to a hidden metric for success, it creates a unique, incredibly heavy burden. Particularly for people of color, the demand to fit in completely transforms. It goes from being just some vague corporate buzzword into a literal roadblock. Think about it. When an entire industry prioritizes a specific historical cultural fit over pure talent, it inherently locks out anyone who doesn't naturally mirror that traditional mold. And honestly, it doesn't even matter how exceptional their work is.
Let's see how this builds, because perhaps the absolute most exhausting part of this whole reality is captured in 3 simple words: again and again. This roadblock, it's not a one-time misunderstanding. It's not just a single bad interview. It is a persistent, cyclical frustration. Just imagine doing everything flawlessly, right? Pouring in the long hours, delivering top-tier results, only to repeatedly slam into an invisible wall simply because your lived experience doesn't effortlessly blend into the expected backdrop of that specific firm's culture.
All of this brings us to a pretty vital reflection. If a professional system, like the one Hadia navigated on Bay Street, ultimately demands fitting in over objective merit, who is permanently left behind? As you digest this explainer today and, look around your own workplace tomorrow, take a close look at the structures in place. Ask yourself, who's effortlessly advancing and what invisible cultural roadblocks might be holding exceptionally qualified people back? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this critical topic today. Keep questioning the norm and keep learning.